Are you looking for a brand-growing outdoor advertising with beautiful simplicity and an artistically inspired choice? Look no further. Our 40 years of credible reputation and experience will give you exceptional brand traction. City Clock offers you their timeless units that will keep you in time, travel with you with time, and grow and shine with you on time. We offer advertising media throughout East Africa and are at your service 24/7. You can call us on 0722-520-004 or 0733-520-004 or email us at info@thecityclock.com. We are located at Corner Plaza, 4th floor on Parklands Road. Take Talk. Get your brand on the talk with City Clock.
Good afternoon. You are in time for the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma Odim. On sign language interpretation, we have Brian Muraru. It is the 24th day in the month of July 2024. Several journalists have taken to the streets in protest of alleged police brutality. This as they seek to protect the freedom of the media. And at the same time, we are on standby for a briefing from State House. Let's interact on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. President William Ruto has assured the new Prison Commissioner General Patrick Mwiti of his full support. Speaking at State House on Wednesday after he took the oath of office, the president said the prison service also looks forward to his leadership in ensuring the country's correctional facilities are managed diligently. The Commander-in-Chief has urged the new commissioner to continue with the ongoing reforms in the prison service. Commissioner General Patrick Mwiti takes over from Brigadier retired John Kibaso Warioba.
Our new Commissioner General of our prison service. My congratulations to you, Commissioner General Mwiti, for this very well-deserved appointment as Commissioner General. Is looking forward to your leadership as you lead the prisons team in making sure that our correctional services are managed appropriately in the best interest of the country. And the reform process that is going on at the prisons will be undertaken under your watch and stewardship. Our commitment to enhance the salaries of our policemen, our prison officers, in line with our commitment that we made. So you come into office with good tidings for the men in the prison service, because this month they will have their first installment of increment of salaries together with the other security agencies, as a commitment I made last year.
Members of public have a week to submit memoranda contesting the nomination of 11 cabinet secretary nominees forwarded to the National Assembly by the President. In a paid-up advert by the Clerk of the National Assembly, Samuel Njoroge, members of the public are required to submit any representations they may have by way of a written affidavit with supporting evidence contesting the suitability of any of the nominees. The National Assembly Appointments Committee, chaired by Speaker Moses Wetangula, will consider the petitions against nominees when it commences approval hearings. The vetting exercise will last for 28 days, after which the committee will compile a report to be debated in the National Assembly. A 15-year-old student from Bishop Lois Ngerenaro Mixed Day Secondary School is nursing rubber bullet injuries after she was shot during yesterday's demonstrations in Nyahururu town. The Form 2 student was allegedly on her way home from school when she found herself in the middle of the skirmishes before she was injured, forcing speedy intervention from Good Samaritans. The parents now say they have been forced to foot the unexpected courts. All right, we are moving now to State House for the briefing. Let's cross over and listen in.
The people of Kenya can firmly and unanimously affirm that Kenya is a free, open, and democratic country based on the rule of law and constitutionalism. Our fundamental rights and freedoms are guaranteed by the Constitution and cannot be taken away. They include the freedom of conscience and expression, the right to assemble and to demonstrate, picket, and present petitions. In the past few weeks, we have all witnessed the direct and robust exercise of these rights and freedoms by Kenyans who called on their government to pay attention to urgent national issues and to prioritize necessary changes and reforms to actualize their aspirations. It is with deep regret that I have to say that many Kenyans lost their lives and others seriously injured as a result of disturbances occasioned by lawless activity during these protests. This is not how and where our democracy should proceed, and we must do all we can to ensure that this does not occur again in future. The government of Kenya will provide necessary support to all families and citizens who lost their loved ones. Unfortunately, there has been many instances of excessive, unlawful, dangerous, and harmful conduct during the demonstrations and engagements, as a consequence of which many persons have been arrested and charged in courts with various offenses. I urge the criminal justice agencies to take effective measures and ensure that people who may have been innocently caught up on the wrong side of things and those not implicated in crimes be released and charges against them withdrawn. This will enable the agencies to focus their resources, efforts, and time in investigating and prosecuting serious criminal elements who took advantage of peaceful demonstrations to advance a dangerous agenda of lawlessness, anarchy, and mayhem. It is important that these suspects are brought to book and that they are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I also take this opportunity to affirm the constitutional authority and duty vested on our national security institutions to protect our country against internal and external threats to sovereignty, to lives of our people, our rights, freedoms, property, peace, stability, and prosperity, as well as our collective national interest. Consequently, I call on the National Police Service to use its mandate responsibly, professionally, and effectively in full compliance with the Constitution, with a view to promoting the national objectives of Article 238, 239, and 244 of our Constitution. All breaches and violations by police officers must be handled expeditiously through due process, with a view to giving Kenyans a police service that upholds the highest standards of integrity. As citizens of this great nation, we all have a duty to balance our rights and responsibilities at all times, so that the legitimate exercise of our rights and freedoms does not undermine our broader aspirations to remain a civilized, democratic, and peaceful country governed under the rule of law and institutions of governance for the benefit of all of us. Over the last 1 month, the livelihoods and property of many innocent people have also been destroyed, plunging them into destitution and jeopardizing the welfare of their dependents. The government of Kenya will equally take measures to support these Kenyans on the path to recovery of their businesses. I direct the relevant ministries to obtain, verify, and provide accurate data to facilitate appropriate government action within the next 30 days. I want to give the people of Kenya an assurance that our government listens to them, and that for the last 1 month, I have led the government in engaging and listening to citizens from all walks of life as they express themselves in different forums and on various platforms. What has emerged as the foremost national concern requiring urgent and decisive action is the vexing matter of corruption and the non-negotiable desire for accountable leadership and integrity in governance. I have this to say to Kenyans. I have heard you, and I have heard you clearly. Consequently, the following measures shall be taken to accelerate progress to achieving the objectives stated by the people. Number 1, I will be proposing amendments to the Evidence Act and the Criminal Procedure Code, among other necessary legislative amendments to all statutes relating to corruption, to expedite investigations and prosecution of corruption and economic crimes cases, and provide for their conclusion within 6 months. We shall also be proposing amendments to the Witness Protection Act to overhaul the statutory and institutional framework to protect and incentivize whistleblowers and enhance witness protection, making it easier and safer for citizens to come forward and report corruption as well as other criminal activities. Number 3, within 90 days, we shall propose amendments to the Public Finance Management Act and Public Procurement and Disposal Acts to overhaul the institutional and operational framework of public procurement, which has been identified as the epicenter of corruption, conflict of interest, and abuses of office in the public sector, with a view to deploying digital infrastructure within the next 6 months. The aim of this measure is to provide an open and transparent public procurement platform which gives open, real-time, and end-to-end public visibility of public procurement from advertisement to award of contract and to whom it is awarded and what amount the people of Kenya will pay. Number 4, I have engaged with the parliamentary leadership and asked Parliament to expeditiously pass the Conflict of Interest Bill with the explicit caveat that I shall veto any bill enacted if it does not establish the highest bar with respect to accountability, integrity, and anti-corruption. I will make full use of the power given to me under Article 115 of the Constitution to make sure that the bill meets the appropriate standards set out in the original bill. Number 5, while fully respecting the independence of the national justice, law, and order institutions, and pursuant to a commitment to consult and collaborate in leveraging their institutional capabilities in effective, expeditious, and conclusive investigations in respect of all active cases, it is essential for these institutions to provide a time frame to the people of Kenya, because that is what the people of Kenya want, within which proceedings shall be concluded, and the same timelines clearly communicated to the public. Number 6, about 400 billion shillings is spent on tax expenditure every year, especially on VAT refunds, a process that is largely opaque and with limited accountability. Within 90 days, I will be working with Parliament to provide a legislative and regulatory framework to make this process transparent, open, and accountable, with a view to reducing this huge public expenditure and direct savings from this exercise to the productive sectors of our economy. This is going to be a very important exercise of engaging Parliament in consultations with the people as to whether it is right for us to spend 400 billion Kenya shillings every year collected from the people of Kenya to pay a few companies on matters of VAT refund. Number 7, the government will also work with Parliament to tighten legislation to reduce and eliminate imports of goods and products already manufactured in Kenya, so as to promote our value addition, our manufacturing, and industrialization program in our quest to create more jobs, create more opportunities, and create wealth in our nation. We must have a national conversation as to whether we want to be a supermarket for products from other countries, or we want to produce products that we already have manufacturing capacity in Kenya. In my last address to the nation, I undertook to consult a broad spectrum of stakeholders from all sectors, levels, and regions in order to constitute a broad-based government. In line with this undertaking, I will be forwarding additional names to Parliament for vetting prior to appointment, based on the understanding of the Cabinet's essential role in driving the transformational agenda that makes Kenya a better, more just, and more prosperous nation for all of us. Once constituted, the new cabinet will steward our transformation agenda that is already in place in providing effective and efficient public services, expanding opportunities for employment and wealth creation, and creating a tide that lifts every boat. Our collective ambition is to turbocharge the performance of our economy, to achieve our universal health coverage, which ensures that no one is left behind or impoverished on account of healthcare costs. Also offer an equitably funded education system which looks out for learners from vulnerable backgrounds and ensure that Kenyans from all walks of life live in safe and dignified housing through our affordable housing program. Additionally, our transformation agenda commits to provide reliable clean water, last-mile connectivity of electricity, and to secure more business opportunities for enterprises and employment opportunities for our young people, both here at home and abroad. Our explicit aim is to transform Kenya into a middle-income society, and it is essential for us to urgently mobilize adequate resources to fund these necessary programs and projects. Consequently, after extensive consultations, I have nominated the following persons for consideration and approval by the National Assembly for appointment as cabinet secretaries. I commend the leadership of diverse organizations, both in public and private sectors, including political parties, for their encouraging response to my outreach to consult on forming a broad-based government, their willingness to set aside partisan positions and interests in order to join a visionary partnership for the radical transformation of Kenya is a historic gesture of their patriotism. I know and I understand acutely the huge expectation of the people of Kenya on me and this administration. And I equally understand that that responsibility can be made easier if we work together as a nation. And as I said, the opportunity we have to work together across political lines, across different divisions, is much more greater than the challenge and the crisis we have in our hands. I take this opportunity to express my appreciation for their commitment and reiterate my pledge to engage alongside them in a national conversation that is inclusive, citizen-centered, and aimed at consolidating and accelerating the actualization of inclusive growth and national transformation. As I take this step, and as I expand and broaden this administration, I am acutely aware that the responsibility of managing the affairs of the country vested in the cabinet, in the expanded cabinet, will require of us to work together and to focus on that which brings honor to our country. I will shortly give you the list of my nominees. Just hold your horses. Just hold your horses. Great. Oops. That's the old list again. Where did it disappear? I think this is a problem of making it very confidential and not allowing many people to have a look at it. As you're all aware, the list I sent to the National Assembly, I have since amended so that Roslinda Soipan-Tuya now goes to the Ministry of Defense. The Honorable Aden Bare-Duale moves to Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry. I have now forwarded the name of John Mbadi Ngongo to the Ministry of National Treasury and Economic Planning. Salim Mvuria Mgala, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Ms. Rebecca Miano, Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. The Honorable James Opio Wandai, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. The Honorable Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. The Honorable Hassan Ali Joho, Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. The Honorable Dr. Alfred Nganga Mutua, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. The Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development. The Honorable Justin Bidan Njoka Muturi, Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development. Madam Stella Soy Langat, Ministry of Gender, Culture, Arts and Heritage. I am still working on the other pending nominees, and I will be announcing them shortly. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless our great nation, Kenya. Asanteni sana.
A state briefing from State House, which has unveiled the naming of cabinet secretaries. Soipan-Tuya is the cabinet secretary nominee for the department, for the Docket of Defense, Aden Duale is the Cabinet Secretary nominee. For the Environment Docket, John Mbadi is under the Treasury Docket. Sam Vuria is the Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Trade and Investment. Rebecca Miano has been appointed Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Tourism. Kipchumba Murkomen is the Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Sports. Hassan Joho, the former governor for Mombasa County, is the Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Mining. Alfred Mutua, the former Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, is now the Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Labour. And Wycliffe Oparanya, the former governor of Kakamega, is now the Cabinet Secretary nominee under the Ministry of Cooperatives, and Stella Soy is the Cabinet Secretary under the Ministry of Gender. That is the announcement from State House, and on that note, we are taking our first commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Are you looking for a brand-growing outdoor advertising with beautiful simplicity and an artistically inspired choice? Look no further. Our 40 years of credible reputation and experience will give you exceptional brand traction. TikTok. Get your brand on the talk with City Clock.
Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. Welcome back. Now, a 15-year-old student from Bishop Louis Ngarenaro Mixed Day Secondary School is nursing rubber bullet injuries after she was shot during yesterday's demonstrations in Nyahururu town. The Form 2 student was allegedly on her way home from school when she found herself in the middle of the skirmishes before she was injured, forcing speedy intervention from Good Samaritans. The parents now say they have been forced to foot the unexpected course to ensure she is treated and escorted to school so that she doesn't miss her end-term exams.
Nilikuwa natoka shule, fika hapa karibu nyumbani, nikienda kuvuka mtaro, nikafikiwa na gari ya polisi, kanishia rubber bullet, nikaanguka hapo. Sasa sikujua venye kuliendelea, nikajipata hosi.
Amepigwa na rubber bullet. Sikujua vizuri ni wapi, lakini nilikuja nikamkuta ako hosi. Aligongwa mguu ya left na ameshonwa uzi. Sasa niko na gharama ya kumleta asubuhi na kumrudisha home.
Naomba tu kwa serikali, iwapo kuna jambo litatendeka, hii mambo yaishe, ili watu warudi makazini mwao na watoto wapate amani wanapokwenda nyumbani. Juu ile janga alipata jeraha kwa mguu na alitibiwa na akaenda nyumbani. So tunaomba serikali iangazie hii mambo zaidi, ili at least watoto wanapoenda shule wawe hawapatani na majanga kama haya.
The National Public Benefit Organization Consortium has strongly condemned the move by the Public Benefit Regulatory Authority to forward names of non-governmental organizations to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation (DCI) for investigation, saying the board is overstepping its mandate. They said some of the BPOs that are being accused of funding the Gen Z's protest have been in existence for years and helped in funding government projects in the past years. According to them, the move is a decoy to delay the implementation of the BPO Act. They have, however, called on the authority to table any evidence they have in court that puts the conduct of NGOs in the country to question.
See the PBO Regulatory Authority, which is a body that should protect the PBOs, coming out and claiming that they are doing some investigation and even purporting to refer some of the cases to the DCI. If you look at the PBO Act, they don't have that authority. They don't have that. It's not one of their functions. So we were shocked. And that is why we, as the National PBO Consortium, decided to come and issue this statement, telling the PBO Regulatory Authority that they are overstepping their mandate. If anything, they should operationalize and implement what is required under the PBO Act, because they have not done it.
The Chama cha Uzalendo Party CCU has opposed the national dialogue proposed by President William Ruto following weeks of protests witnessed across the country by the youth. Speaking in Diani, Kwale County, party leader Richard Onsongo said that the government should implement the demands made by the youth and Kenyans in general. The party has also called for compensation of protesters who were killed and injured during the protests.
We don't need a national dialogue to create political deals and positions. It's not about positions. Number two, we don't need national dialogue to implement the Constitution and allow constitutional institutions to perform. Number three, all those mentioned in corruption must step aside immediately to allow for investigations. If innocent, they are allowed back.
Watoto wa Gen Z awachilie hawa watoto, kwa sababu sisi wa mama tunalia kwa sababu kubeba mimba miezi 9 alafu mtu aje akuchukulie mtoto auwe mtoto apotee, umuoni mtoto amesoma mpaka university, mtoto huyu anatokea kuongea kilio chake kwa sababu hakuna kazi na president anasikia. Hiyo tuna uchungu mwingi sana sisi kama wamama.
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Refugee Consortium of Kenya and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees want refugees who have been confined in camps for over 3 decades reintegrate in local host communities. In a project dubbed Haki na Ushirikiano, the stakeholders are seeking to build the capacity of police and community members to better understand the rights of the refugee community and therefore ease their stay in the country.
Bodies, their integration of refugees is aimed at promoting their socio-economic inclusion. The United Nations High Commission for Refugees, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and the Refugee Consortium of Kenya say they plan to have refugees return to their countries of origin has been hampered by escalating conflicts and the adverse effects of climate change.
And after 30 years, the chances of them going back is minimal because of the lack of peace. So the only solution is to create that enabling environment that they're able to relive their lives, to start their lives outside the camps and be able to live the life that you and me live.
It's only fair that they are integrated through the new legislation. And some of the rights that have been limited in the past includes the right to freedom of movement. The refugees were not able to make gainful economic activity.
The Dadaab Sub-County Police Commander George Kariuki said that as long as their integration is conducted in a manner that does not compromise the security situation in the area, the local community and the country at large would also benefit from having the refugees working as part and parcel of the society.
But as long as it is properly undertaken, so that we ensure that the people who are integrating do not have a criminal past or a criminal intent, then that in the long run it will be beneficial to all.
The refugee population across the Dadaab refugee complex, which consists of 4 camps, namely I-41, I-42, Hagarudera and Dagahale, currently stands at over 382,000 people, with last year alone seeing over 100,000 refugees from Somalia trooping into Dadaab, mainly due to the drought situation and war.
Since we have been here for a long time, and we are requesting now not to be called even a refugee. When we are called refugee, we feel a discrimination that it goes down our moral, and that's what we don't want to hear anymore.
A substantial number are also from South Sudan, Ethiopia and Congo. Give us in mind, Lunchtime News.
Well, at this hour, the President has named Cabinet Secretary nominees. John Mbadi is the Cabinet nominee for Treasury. Salim Mvurya is the Cabinet nominee in the Cabinet of Trade. Rebecca Miano will now head to the tourism docket if approved by Parliament. The energy docket will be headed by Opiyo Wandayi. Hassan Joho, the former governor for Mombasa, will now head to the Ministry of Mining if approved by Parliament, and Kipchumba Murkomen will now head to the sports docket. The former Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Alfred Mutua, is now the nominee for the Ministry of Labour. Let's listen in.
Have a look at it. As you're all aware, the list I sent to the National Assembly, I have since amended so that Roslinda Soipan Tuya now goes to the Ministry of Defense. The Honorable Aden Baredwale moves to Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. I have now forwarded the name of John Mbadi Ngongo to the Ministry of National Treasury and Economic Planning. Salim Mvurya Mgala, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Ms. Rebecca Miano, Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. The Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. The Honorable Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. The Honorable Hassan Ali Joho, Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. The Honorable Dr. Alfred Nganga Mutua, Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. The Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development. The Honorable Justin Bidan Njoka Muturi, Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development. Madam Stella Soy Langat, Ministry of Gender, Culture, Arts and Heritage. I am still working on the other pending nominees, and I will be announcing them shortly. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless our great nation, Kenya.
President William Ruto earlier on as he named Cabinet Secretary nominees. In other news this afternoon, 15,000 school-going children dropped out of school across the country due to the effects of the floods that wreaked havoc in many parts of the country between April and May 2024. A survey conducted last month by Elimu Bora Working Group has further revealed that 62 schools were submerged while 20,000 toilet blocks were damaged, posing significant health risks for over 1.5 million learners. Joseph Wafungo with the details.
With just a week to go until schools are closed for August holidays, it has emerged that thousands of learners in primary and secondary schools across the country did not attend classes during the second term, according to a survey conducted across 60 schools in 9 counties in June this year by Elimu Bora Working Group. 62 schools were submerged due to flooding, while 20,000 toilet blocks were damaged, posing significant health risks for over 1.5 million learners.
Just for these schools alone, remember we sampled only 60 schools. But then for these ones alone, 15,000 students were not able to report back. And that is a worry.
34 cases of cholera were reported in Tana River County. Schools under review also experienced a 9% decrease in overall learners' population, with female students and those with special needs dropping out of schools.
But we are also pointing out that 20,000 of the toilet blocks, can we call them latrines? Because many of these were in those areas. They were damaged.
Despite the government having announced in May that it has set aside 1 billion shillings for the countrywide reconstruction of schools damaged by floods, the survey indicated that less than 20% of the schools surveyed received support from the government. The education lobby is recommending an immediate development of an emergency and disaster response strategy for schools, among other key recommendations. Joseph Ohungu for Lunchtime News.
Thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1 in business. Kenya Airports Authority has confirmed reports that it received an investment proposal from India-based Adani Airport holding to refurbish the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport runway, taxiway and apron and build a new passenger terminal building. In a statement, Kenya Airports Authority Acting Managing Director Henry Ogoe says the concession proposal will be subjected to public participation and legal reviews in compliance to Public Partnership Act 2021. This comes a day after members of Parliament vowed to investigate the alleged private deal to lease the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the Indian firm. Maize crop on 6,000 acres of land was adversely affected by the recent flooding. Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono says mitigation measures such as replanting or offering top dressing fertilizer were activated to support the 10,000 farmers who were affected.
The flooding and heavy rains experienced in April this year affected, among others, farmers cropping Kenya's key staple food. Agriculture Principal Secretary says measures have been put in place to minimize the impact of the flooding on maize production this year.
Looking at the fertilizers we distributed recently, we are seeing our crops producing better. From the survey we have done across the country, we have realized that our crops are growing better and we are likely to get what is called a bumper harvest.
He says the monthly maize consumption had increased by about 80% from 4,090,000 kg bags to the current 7,090,000 kg bags.
And our maize coverage has also changed in this country from 44 million acres to 67 million acres. And last year alone, we were able to push to increase our maize production from 44 million kilos, million bags of 90 kilogram to close to 70 million bags of 90 kilogram.
To reduce post-harvest losses, he says the government has distributed 235 dryers. Ian Muse for Lunchtime News.
9 in 10 Kenyans are opposed to the increase in the road maintenance levy from the previous 18 shillings per litre to 25 shillings per litre on concerns that it will increase the cost of living. The latest survey by Afrobarometer indicates that 7% of those surveyed are backing the increased road maintenance levy to fund recarpeting of the existing road infrastructure. Investigator Professor Paul Kamau says 53% of those surveyed want the government to impose higher taxes for highly paid individuals.
There's a disapproval of increased taxes on petroleum products. There's also a disapproval on the institution of the housing levy. All these were done just early this year, and we will say that perhaps the reality is starting to sink in. I know Prof had mentioned that what happened, that the Gen Z seemed to be okay with a majority of things, but perhaps the reality is sinking in after this data was collected.
With regard to economic condition, compared to 12 months ago, almost half of the sample, and this can be generalized to Kenya, 50% of Kenyans think the economic conditions is getting worse.
If you own or plan to own a cat in Nairobi, you will be required to pay a fee of 200 shillings per cat every year if the proposed Nairobi City County Animal Control and Welfare Bill 2024 is approved in its current form. Nairobi County government says the proposal is to ensure that all domesticated cats in the devolved unit are maintained in conditions that support their well-being, including being up to date with the required vaccinations.
Under the proposed Nairobi City County Animal Control and Welfare Bill 2024, it will be prohibited for any person to own a cat in Nairobi County without obtaining a license in respect of the cat, subject to paying the applicable fee of 200 shillings every year. Those domesticating cats will need to present proof of their cat's rabies vaccination and pay the nominal fee to the Nairobi County government as part of a measure to enhance public health and safety by reducing the risk of rabies and other animal-related issues. In addition to licensing requirements, the bill has provisions to address nuisance issues and ensure cat owners do not allow their cats to scream in a manner that disturbs the peace and comfort of neighbors. Additionally, owners of female cats will be mandated to confine them to a building or enclosure to prevent contact with other cats, except those belonging to the same owner, to control their population and prevent unwanted interactions between cats. Violating these provisions will constitute an offence and result in penalties for the owner. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
In sports, the Kenya Sevens rugby team Shujaa will kick off their 2024 Paris Olympics campaign this evening against Argentina in a Pool B clash in Saint Denis, France.
The match will mark the 8th meeting between the two sides since 2020, with Argentina dominating all the previous meetings.
Through the Challenger Series, even in Zimbabwe, when we were qualifying for the Olympics itself, and them being there for the grand finale, the Olympic itself, it's a big plus for us.
The last meeting was during the 2022 HSBC World Rugby 7 Series, where Argentina defeated Kenya 19-5, but Kenyan Chargers will be looking to break the jinx this time round. The Kevin Wambua Chargers will then take on Australia in their second Pool B match before facing Samoa tomorrow in their final pool match.
The boys are in good spirits. Technically, we've cleaned up on our attack and defense frameworks, and in terms of opposition, we've done our job on them, so we are ready.
The matches will take a short break tomorrow before the medal matches on Saturday.
Newly crowned Copa America champions Argentina will take on Atlas Lions of Morocco this evening in the opening match of the 2024 Men's Olympic Football Tournament in Saint-Etienne, France. Argentina and Morocco are drawn in Pool B alongside Iraq and Ukraine.
The match pitting world champions Argentina and Morocco will signal the start of the 2024 Men's Olympic Football Tournament. Pool B will also see Iraq face Ukraine in their opening match of the Olympic Games. European champions Spain will open their campaign against Uzbekistan in Pool C, where they hope to prevail in their quest to bag the coveted trophy. Former African champions Egypt, who will be making their 13th appearance in the Olympic Games, will face Dominican Republic in Group C. Defending champions Brazil did not qualify for this year's Paris Olympic Games.
English Premier League defending champions Manchester City began their season tour of the United States with a 4-3 lose to Celtic in Chapel Hill. City will face Italian giants AC Milan in their second preseason match on Sunday before facing Barcelona on Wednesday next week.
City try to build, and they're doing so, and Grealish is bursting forward. Haaland in a bit of space, goes the other way into O'Reilly. O'Reilly, lovely little check back, and the finish has gone wide. It looks like it's gone. At Leicester City now. Celtic have found themselves a bit of space, and they're going to take on Ortega, and they're going to score as well. A ball into the gap, and suddenly City were opened up, and Grealish. Good ball, bit of space, O'Reilly, Haaland, maybe Bob, another good save, but it's crept over the line. Schmeichel got a big chunk of it, but it spanned beyond him. On it goes into that area from which they got the lead, and now they've scored again in very similar circumstances. Now Kuhn. Ball into Kyogo is delightful. Kyogo round Ortega, and Celtic have a third. Umbete asks for an offside flag, it's not coming. You're attacking with Oscar Bob, who's making his way into the area. Massimo Perrone, with his first touch, has made it 3.
And on that note, we cap it up for the lunchtime news. A couple of minutes ago, President William Ruto named the second batch of Cabinet Secretary nominees. And also on this day, several journalists have taken to the streets in protest over alleged police brutality. This as they seek to protect the freedom of the media. For more details on news making headlines and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma. On sign language interpretation, we have Brian Muraru. On behalf of the entire team behind this broadcast, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
France welcomes the world for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games.
This edition, Heroic Team Kenya is pushing boundaries as well.
An Olympic gold medal.
More significantly, Kenya is intent on claiming victory at the quadrennial sporting event comprising of 45 sports that will be staged from 24th of July through to the 11th of August. Here comes a dose for everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream of a lifetime. And for the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.